Hello there, everybody. I am going to try something new this week, and what I am going to try to do is to have sound in my video, me talking possibly about what I'm doing. There will be points when I get quiet because I just get into what I'm doing, and I realize I should be talking after about 5 minutes. But I need to forewarn everyone that my art studio is in the heart of my house. It is actually my dining room. I took over the dining room and turned it into my art studio because we do not use our dining room in the traditional sense. That said, that means that you will um, hear different sounds. Like now, you probably hear the television in the background. That is my boys in the next room in the living room watching television. You may also hear them running through the house, being the boys that they are, or talking amongst themselves, my husband coming in and out, just the natural sounds of a household. And I want to forewarn you guys that those, because I am leaving the sound in this week so that I can talk to you, I want to forewarn you guys that it's live and in living color here in my house because I am the only female amongst all males, except for my dog, which is also a female. That said, we're on our week number 2, our fantastic, authentic truth number 2. This one is based off of the big fat lie number 7 in Amy's book. And of course, I'm not giving out what the lie is because that wouldn't be fair to Amy. But the reframe that I got from the Buddha is all that we are is the result of what we have thought. Again, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. And with that quote, I am going to um, design my page for this week. There will be times you might see me writing. I'm only writing down the supplies that I am using because I want to make sure that I list the supplies in the thread for you guys, since lots of you ask what supplies I'm going to be using. I never know what supplies I'm going to use until I actually do the page because it comes to me as I am creating. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to gesso my pages because I know that in the email I sent earlier today, I told you I'm working on layers, forcing myself to put more layers on when I already am satisfied with the layer that I see of my background. Lots of times I'll put some gesso down, I'll spray some ink on, spray some water or alcohol, make it run, and then I'm happy with the background as it is, and I add to it from there. I always strive to put more layers than that one layer because the more layers you put on your pages, the more depth your pages have, the more dimension your pages have, and just all the kind of goodness that you see in those beautiful art journal pages that I'm sure you guys look at across the web like I do. So our first step today is going to be adding a layer of gesso. And I need to also forewarn you that I've just come back from a weekend long conference where I was vending. And so a lot of my art supplies are still packed up. So you may see me scrambling a little bit to find where the supply is. I know I have it. It's just packed up somewhere. So we're going to just start with gesso. And hopefully this is right side up for you. It is right side up for me in my camera view on the screen that I'm looking at. It's Liquitex gesso. And we're just putting a layer down on our 2-page spread for this week. My poor red thread is going to be white before it's all said and done. Nothing fun about this. Nothing fun and exciting about this part of the process. But because I know that I'm going to put down so many layers, and I know that out of my layers, probably almost all of my layers are going to be wet layers, I want to protect my pages and give them some strength. And there are folks that don't like the brush strokes. I don't know if you can tell in the camera, but on my pages, I have very deep brush strokes from the brush I'm using. Brush strokes don't bother me. If they bother you, you can take a roll of paper towels. I don't have an unwrapped roll, but just a roll of paper towels, your kitchen paper towels, and just roll it across the wet gesso. It will take out the paint lines from the paintbrush. And like on this particular roll of paper towels, it happens to be a nice pattern. It will put this pattern onto your gesso, and and that pattern from the paper towels will end up becoming a part of your background and adding some nice interest to your background. We'll do that technique at some point along the way. I'm sure several times along the way. And I do apologize. You will hear the heat gun. Still pretty wet right there. Okay, I think we're pretty good. Still a little damp, but it doesn't have to be 100% dry. I'm about to wet it again with some Dilutions ink sprays. I believe this color is called lime green. I had to put it in a different spray bottle because the spray bottle it came in was not working. And it is actually called Fresh Lime, but it is a Dilutions ink spray. And I have Bubblegum Pink, Pure Sunshine, and Vibrant Turquoise. And the reason I picked these colors is because it is finally springtime. in my area. I live in Maryland. And although the calendar says spring, it hasn't been very spring feeling outside. So I wanted to do some bright springy colors as one layer of what's going to go on. And my trademark with this is to wet the pages because I like the way that the ink sprays run and merge together when I wet the pages. One of the things I need to find is my water spray bottle. Ah, thank goodness it wasn't too hard to locate. And I'm just going to spray down the page. You can spread as little bit or as much as you want. It all depends on how much you want the ink to run. Sometimes I spray it first, spray the inks on, and spray some more water on top of that to get it running some more. That's random sprays. It doesn't matter. Because remember, this is the first of 6 layers that we're going to put on our page today. Pretty, pretty. I'm going to smash it together first. Let's smash it together. This is my page from last week. Guys, remember, still haven't fixed my tag, as you see. I'll get to it. Ooh, I like that. And because I like that, I don't think I'm going to stand it up like I normally do to let the ink run. I'm just going to dry it from here. See, and this is what I'm talking about with layers. This is beautiful to me. And normally I would be done. I'd be done with the background and I'd start putting on whatever it is that I'm going to put on as the embellishment, decoration, drawing, doodling, whatever I'm going to do to the page. But because I'm trying to force myself to make more layers, I'm going to keep going once I dry. We have a couple little puddles that are taking too long for me to dry. And since this is the first layer, I'm just gonna dab them out some. That's really nice of me. But I'm working on layers, so I will continue. Have this nice newsprint from a paper bag that I'm going to now collage on top using some matte gel medium by Liquitex. If you have just regular paste, that's fine too. Whatever you have in one hand. I would make sure I try to get something archival though, since this is a book that you want to keep forever. And I do apologize for the noise this is about to create with me ripping and wrinkling paper in the microphone. But on the recording, there's no way for me to mute it and then unmute it. I'll try to edit it out. Just in whatever place on the page that you may feel called to glue some collage material. It doesn't have to be newspaper print. I guess it can be whatever you want to collage on, whatever's calling you. I'm just gonna use my matte gel medium. I like to make sure. I don't want necessarily a thick coat, but I want a good coat to make sure that the ends don't end up peeling up over time. Now as you see, I'm just randomly slapping the pieces down. With no real intention other than to collage some material onto my page. I don't have a perfect plan for how I want these pieces laid out on the page. I just know I want some collage matter to help add interest and dimension to my page. Then I'm just going to take the heat gun to this to dry the medium. One second, I have to take some notes so I don't forget. Okay. Before it got away from me and I didn't remember to put down all of the supplies I've been using. Okay, now I'm going to try to bring it all together um, and add depth and dimension, but still you'll still be able to see the colors underneath. Not as vibrant, not as bright, but you'll know that there was a layer of color here. You'll see the collage material, and this will be our third layer. I am going to glaze the entire spread with the golden fluid acrylics transparent red iron oxide and a wet brush. And that is key because if you don't use a wet brush and you're trying to glaze or do a wash, you're going to lay down, the color's going to come out too thick and it's not going to come out as in a glaze or a wash that you're trying to get to. And that's really what I want here. I want it to wash over and not um, overpower. And just so you know, with golden fluid acrylics, a little bit goes a long way. That is the dollop of paint that I'm using. Now I may have to add to this, but I'd rather add to my paint than end up with lots of paint on my palette left over that I haven't used. So again, we're going to use a wet brush and wash it over the entire page. It helps bring everything together. Keep your brush wet, keep the page wet. However you need to make sure that you are complementing the colors that are already there and not covering them. And because the ink sprays are water-based, they're going to move a little as you're glazing. But that's okay, because I can still see my layers of blues and pinks and greens under this layer of glaze that I'm adding here. And you just want to make sure you cover the whole page to bring it all in together. As you notice, I've covered that whole page. I haven't added any more paint to my palette. I am going to have to add some because I am running low. But I guess it's a good indication of how far just a little dollop of the golden fluid acrylics will go. Okay, I now have to add more paint to my palette to finish the bottom half. And I'll add, obviously, even smaller dollop because I'm almost done. But that just shows you how far the golden acrylic paint, fluid paints will go. And I keep re-wetting my brush because I want it to glaze. I want it to wash over and not cover my colors that I have on my page. And the only way I can do that is to ensure that I have a wet brush. Not quite enough I put down there, so I just used a pin drop more to add the rest of the colors to the page. Now see how we've added a layer of glaze on top of this, an extra layer of color, but I can still see my pinks and my blues and my greens and even some of the yellows in certain spots, depending on how heavy the glaze laid on. And that helps. That glaze helps bring, you see how it's more cohesive now, how the collage pieces aren't sitting so much on top of the page. It has started to become one with everything else that's on this page. So the glaze makes what? Layer 3? We did the sprays first, then we did the collage, and now we're on layer 3 with the glaze. Let me go I'm just going to take my paper towel again and just blot some of the areas where I have pools of the glaze. It helps the drying process, obviously. I'm not a real patient person when it comes to drying. I want my stuff dry. Okay, now that that's fairly dry, I'm going to add some stamping as my next layer. I have this pretty flourish stamp that's delicate enough not to overpower the page, but also large and intricate enough that you will see it through the next layers. It worked a bit too hard. I ripped my page a little bit. Just trying to get that edge off of there. Okay, and I'm just using Memento Tuxedo Black ink, which is permanent ink. So once it's dry, it should not move. And I don't care that I don't have great, complete, whole impressions. It's not about getting a great image. It's just about stamping along the page randomly so you can have some stamped impressions on there. And all I'm doing, I'm just wiping the ink pad over top of the stamp pad to ink it. Or you can do that too. I just prefer to rub. Helps with my ears. And I'm just stamping randomly all around, stamping off the page. Not having complete images because it's not necessary. Once you feel like you've gotten enough stamped on there, then you can take a baby wipe and clean your stamp. Be nice to your stamp. Be nicer to your stamps than I am to mine. I don't always clean mine. But since I'm encouraging you to do so, I shall clean my stamp today. Just a regular baby wipe and just wipe the ink off. Wipe until clean. And then put to the side for it to dry. Or do like me, throw it in your stamp drawer or container, however you store your stamps. Okay, so stamping is our fourth layer. Let's write this down. We have ink sprays as our first layer. Our second layer is the collage. Our third layer is the glaze. Our fourth layer is the stamping. Now we're going to brayer on some unbleached titanium acrylic paint to grease this up a bit. My brayer is soaking wet. I should dry it off first. Got on my page. It was in the bag with the spray bottle, so I'm sure that's why it's wet. Because the spray bottle drips some. Okay, so Just taking some unbleached titanium acrylic paint. This happens to be a medium bodied paint, but you don't have to use medium bodied. Basically, it's off white paint. And on my craft mat, I make a little line so I can roll this off camera. I'm sorry, but I'm on my craft mat. I make a little line so I can roll out some of the paint and load up my brayer. And then I'm just going to randomly brayer it onto my page. I don't want a heavy coating, so that's why I'm lightly rolling it. Just grunge it up a bit. Give it a big bit of the grungy. I think that shall suffice. So what makes that our layer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? That is our 5th layer. I am proud of myself. Proud of myself. I'm going to dry this just a little bit, and then we'll have our last layer. Now we've done 5 layers, and we can see all 5 of them. I can see my ink sprays, layer 1. Obviously my collage, layer 2. The glaze is on the whole thing, layer 3. I still see my stamps all over, layer 4, and the white that was blurred on to grunge it up a bit. This background is looking sweet. I really like it. And I'm hoping that you guys are liking what you guys are doing at home for this week as well. What shall I have for my 6th and final layer? Let's see, little notes that I made. I think that I don't know what I want for my last layer. Oh no. Okay, we're going to do this. We are going to make this work. I am determined to do 6 layers. What can I do? On something I'm just already so very pleased with. Haha, I know exactly what I can do. I have this nice stencil. Maybe I'll use a larger stencil. No, I don't think I want stencils because I like the stamping in the background. I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some Distress ink stain. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to use some silks. And actually, no, I'm not even going to use silks. I am going to use for my last and final layer, I'm going to put some shimmer on my page by using some Perfect Pearls Mist and Sunflower Sparkle. That'll be my sixth and final layer to this page spread. Me likey. And I need to be more mindful of my own creations. Got my pages bubbling over here. Putting the heat on the same spot for too long. And there we have our background. Let's remove the protective paper towels so I can hold the book up closer to the camera. Here we have our background for this week. Juicy. I can see everything I did. I can see the sprays, the stamps, the glaze, the acrylic paint with the brayer, the white, off-white acrylic